We need to recognize the problem, because when we recognize the problem, that's when we start seeing the opportunities of how we can do something about the problem.
Hi everyone, welcome to Impact Voices, an impact focused podcast brought to you by Impact Playground. Here, we celebrate local changemakers making impacts on our communities around the world. In each episode, we will delve into the journey of local changemakers exploring their passions, challenges, and triumphs. I'm your host, Juara Elias, and I'm thrilled to share the inspiring story to spark more actions that transform communities. We'll also discuss how you can support their work and join the movement toward creating a more impactful world. In today's episode, we are going to have a conversation with Ray Bargamento, a local chief village from Davao City, Philippines, on his initiative and his leadership to shift the mindset of the communities to create a more sustainable future for Philippines. Welcome and enjoy the podcast. Hi Ray, welcome to Impact Voices by Impact Playground. Nice to meet you.
Nice to
Oh,
meet you as well, Elias.
it's been a long time since we met in Bali a couple of months ago. So Ray, for the benefit of the audience, I just want you to please introduce yourself and what are you currently doing in your capacity, particularly the one that related to climate actions.
Oh, okay. Well, good day to everybody watching the podcast. Elias, happy to see you. My name is Ray Amador Bargamento. I am from Davao City, Philippines. I am from a village called Mindal, and I am the local chief executive in my town. My town has about almost 19,000 people, residents. And as a local chief executive, I have three main jobs, which is one is legislative, that's making laws, policies. Two is judiciary. So we have kind of like a court, but not really a court in our barangay. So that's where we settle differences and all that, hoping that it will not lead to a case. And executive as well. So administration of funds or direction. What are the priorities that must be embraced by my village? So those are my responsibilities. As for climate change, wow, we can feel the heat where I am in Mintal, in my village. The heat has been abnormal. So one of the things that we have been doing is first reintroducing to my villagers how to segregate trash, because at the moment our solid waste remains a problem. There are small steps and some action being taken about it. Hopefully, it will lead to a really sound. That is our main job these days. We have the usual cleanups, and but maybe further down the road is the regreening of my village, because we used to have a lot of trees, a lot of birds, but now because of progress, um, we have a lot of infrastructure being made now. So we hope we can reintroduce regreening of our village.
All right, thank you, Ray. So you have touched a little bit about your capacity as a chief village in the Mindal of Davao City. So how do you use that capacity to influence sustainable sustainable practice in your communities? You mentioned before about your engagement with the communities, right? How exactly you do it?
Wow. Well, number one, we have the involvement of the community is a little difficult, a little challenging to do these days because of the isolation that our cell phones have given us. Um, but reaching out to our villagers, making them understand why we are doing these things, and making the stories, the narrative, very relatable to our everyday existence. So uh, that is how we open the communication channels. But it is really our responsibility to reach out, really find the opportunity, and to really go to the smaller groups of inhabitants, so we can really send our message. So we just don't wait, and see from the table and talk about ideas and things, but we really go out and explain and make people understand why, the big why.
Okay. So you mentioned that you make them understand about the why, the narrative that is relevant to them, right? So what do you see is actually thing that relevant to them in terms of like the climate problems? Like, was it the waste management? Was it the heat that you mentioned before in the early conversation? So
Mhm.
what problem that relevant to them?
Well, the first why or the first narrative that we tell them is we are spending, well, we are wasting a lot of money with our solid waste problem. If we do not manage our solid waste well, we are throwing money into the landfill. With the recent actions that we have taken, we have shown that there are actually, if we manage the solid waste well, yes, we still throw a little bit of money, just a little bit of money, but there's a lot of money that can be saved. What we have done in my village is in the past or 2 years ago, our dump trucks used to collect trash, solid waste around my village 5 times a week. That's Monday to Friday. So what's happening now is we are collecting our solid waste for 3 times a week, mostly 3 times a week. So when we go to the smaller villages, is we tell them now that we are having a little savings with our solid waste. So instead of spending this money to collect your garbage, now we have a little bit of money. Maybe we can buy additional medicines for our health center, or maybe we can buy some anti-rabies vaccine because we have a lot of dogs and dog bite cases. And you don't have to inconvenience yourself to line up at the health center or to go to a clinic only to be told that, oh, there's no more vaccine. Give more vitamins to our pregnant women. Maybe we can do a longer feeding program for our young kids, malnourished kids or undernourished kids. So this is how we make it relatable to them, and they get to say that, okay, wow, okay, there's a lot of aha moments there. So that is how we relate to them. But most important of all is really to network with the opinion leaders in the community and really taking the time to go and shake people's hands and telling them that, we're doing something noble. Would you like to be part of this? We can work this out. About 3 or 4 Saturdays ago, we did a canal cleanup. So this canal cleanup is about maybe a kilometer long, this canal. So in 2019, we worked on this canal, very few only of us. We worked for 12 Saturdays at 1 hour per day. But 4 Saturdays ago, we had over 300 people joining the canal cleanup. And so we were able to finish cleaning the canal and the entire canal in 2 hours. So these are the stories that we keep repeating and we keep showing to people to be part of this. Okay,
Okay, and you just
okay.
highlighted to me that by sharing these relevant stories, it actually move people. More people come to your initiatives and also to actually move and do what they can do to make a better environment, uh, healthy, right? So
Mhm.
so as a right as a government leaders, do you see any challenge or like resource limitation on your side that actually can like prevent you to do more works
Mhm.
in addressing climate issues in your region? And then if you see this challenge, and then what have you done, or like what are you planning to do to address them?
Right. I think for a government agency, the one of the challenges as far as resource limitations is money, is budget. So that's one of the things that we really try to maximize what we have, the little budget that we have for adapting to climate change or for doing something about climate change. Another resource that we don't have here, which is why it's a little bit difficult for us to do the regreening part, is our land area. So our land area is now a little highly urbanized, and the designs of our streets are still a little bit. It needs improvement. We were not able to include a greening part of our streets. So I think that effort will be happening maybe in the coming years once all of this is settled, all of our concreting or infrastructure projects are done. Another thing that, well, participation is still a little bit challenging. We have an ordinance. We will be opening that to public hearing. We have a food garden ordinance soon in my village. So this food garden ordinance, well, is about resiliency, and hopefully it will It will encourage people to plant more like fruit-bearing trees in their backyard or front yard, or whether that's in container or directly on the land. These limitations can be overcome if we just put our mind into it, put a lot of effort into it, and really spending a lot of time studying and learning about the problem. Like the solid waste management, or the lack of management we used to have with solid waste, it was because the lack of time that we put into it. You just look at solid waste, it's a very simple process. Dump truck goes around the village, collects the trash, and then goes to the landfill. That's how we saw things. And we never saw the waste of money that practice actually was entailing us. So when we started sitting down and said, we can do something about this. We're wasting a lot of money with the solid waste problem. And so I think those limitations can be overcome. It's just a matter of prioritizing also which project should be done first, which is more, well, as far as tools and equipping is concerned, we can do already. And what needs more learning, what needs more insights, maybe that we can work on in the coming months or in the coming years.
Thank you, Ray. So, you mentioned about networking before in my previous questions, right? That also lead to collaboration, right? So,
Mhm.
how have you collaborate with other actors outside government, right? I think I've heard you in our previous conversation. You mentioned that you work with different actors as well, like nonprofit organization, and I also know that you were one of the key enablers of the
Mhm.
Finland project, right? So can you tell me more about it, about your collaboration and about that project, and how does it affecting your initiative in the communities that you're leading now?
Well, all right, let's begin with FINLA, or the Philippines, Indonesia, and Sri Lanka project of World Vision. This project is actually an answered prayer for us here in Mindal. Because number one, this project was not meant to be in my village. We were not the first choice. But something happened with the first site, the first project site, and then this project landed into our laps. I did not know many details about the project. They went here and told me that we have a project and it's about solid waste management. And before the visit happened, it was our desire, it was our prayer that we could do something about the solid waste problem. But what limited us? Lack of logistics, lack of personnel, and, well, lack of knowledge. You can put that, that way. So lack of logistics, personnel, and knowledge. So when Finla came, and then they mentioned, Cap, we will be providing tools, equipment, all right, that will be used by beneficiaries of the project. So I was like, oh, really? Wow, that's great. So now we have more vehicles, and we have more people. These people are not paid by my office. They are doing this work for free. They are getting their earning from the recyclables they collect. And because of this project, I think our minds open. We had a new paradigm of, okay, now what can we do with this partnership? So that was very important, realizing that we needed partners, and realizing that now that we needed partners, we need to grow as well. We need to upgrade what we know about this problem. But again, first, I must go back that the reason we were praying for, we were praying that something would happen with our solid waste management. It all started with identification of the problem, recognizing that solid waste is a problem. So that's where it started. It's like we recognize that this is a problem. We must do something about this, and everything happened. Finla came, and thankfully now we're collecting 3 days in a week instead of the usual 5 days before, which we had before.
Yeah. Since the project, do you see any changes or like any outcome out of that project in your communities? Like how does that project shift the overall communities toward more sustainable practice?
Well, okay. Number one, what I really like about it is I mentioned earlier that we lack the personnel. Yeah. We have resource collectors in Finland. So these are our brothers and sisters who go around the village and who collect the recyclables. We did not only equip them to do that, but we equip them to be the people who gets the opportunity to educate our brothers and sisters here in the village. As a matter of fact, a few times, several times, they were invited out of town just to present what they do. So sustainability wise, you don't need to see me or you don't need to see my council. They don't have to be present in one meeting to tell them about how what we do now with solid waste. And the beautiful part of it is they are more effective speakers and educators because when they go to a place, to a purok, or they go to out of town to ask to present, they don't have any political agenda. They don't want to be the village chief or they running for any position. They're just there because they want to share their learning. These people really get their hands dirty with solid waste management. So they're more believable, they are more convincing, and when they speak, you can really see the passion and the investment that they make into the collecting of resources. So that is one beautiful part of it as far as sustainability is concerned. And now also in my village, I don't have to be present at all times. When we do the IEC, our resource collectors, they teach people about the segregation, how to segregate. We have a demo, a pre-test, a demo, and a post-test. And then my part is to open the minds, open the heart, open the eyes, and open the ears of our audience, telling them about the economic impact. What is the economic impact when we segregate? What is the health impact when we segregate? What is the beautification impact when we segregate? So there's so many things that's positively impacted when we manage our solid waste. So that for me is sustainable. We get to reach more people. Our message is clear. Our message is simpler. And yeah, so I think that's the reason why our resource collectors get invited out of town and into schools here to talk about solid waste management because they're effective.
Wow, that's interesting. So you actually talking about that you also connected with all these communities, and then when they are connected, they can also they kind of like act like as an ambassador of what they are doing automatically without you
Yeah,
need to be present at any given time, right? So
that's correct.
in a sense, you are enabling this the ecosystem to this sustainable practice and how they
Mhm.
can manage the solid waste management even better, right?
That is
But
correct.
I hear mostly successful stories from your side, right?
Mhm.
Was there any challenge actually when you were trying to engage with these communities at the very first stage?
Oh
Was
yeah.
there
Oh
any challenge,
yeah.
or was it all smooth?
No, it can never be always smooth. One of the first challenge we had was number one, when we started this project with Finla, it was the time of COVID, and my city was very strict. It was like really strict. So we were able to get our first batch of resource collectors, but unfortunately, because of COVID, that did not push through very well. Some people from the first batch continued with the second batch, second set of people that we invited to become resource collectors. And I think, well, not I think, but I know what I know is that most of them were not comfortable with the fact that they will be working with solid waste, but they will not be paid. You know, their income will be the recyclables that they get to collect, and maybe a lot of them did not see the feasibility or the sustainability of that. And so, thankfully, for the third time, like they say in English, the third time's a charm. So on the third set, now we were able to really get people who are invested in this, who understand the why. They see the financial potential on this part, another income stream. And so that's when it started to be, as far as organization is concerned, when our resource collectors started to have direction, started to have goals and vision. So it was not always easy, especially at the beginning of a project.
Yeah, yeah. Totally makes sense. And by keep doing it, you actually kind of like convince them more, right? So then they convince, and then they want to involve, and to particularly like most of them are voluntary at the very first time basis, right? And
Mhm.
they only gain benefit when they collect the recyclables, and then they can sell it, right? Or like they
Right.
do upcycling about it. I was about to ask you, like looking back, what lesson learned that you would like to take or like give to other local leaders that they might be benefit in like more solid climate actions?
Well, number one, recognize the problem. We need to recognize the problem, because when we recognize the problem, that's when we start seeing the opportunities of how we can do something about the problem. So let's not wait for the problem to act on us. Well, normally, if we don't do something about the problem, it just really acts on us, makes us waste money, waste time, waste resources, everything. So let's act on the problem. Okay, act upon the problem. That is the very first. Recognize the problem. If you do not recognize the problem, all engagements, all investments will not have a good output. All right. Number two is, well, it's a problem. So we have to put time. We have to invest our effort and time in there. And this is where all the crazy ideas start to come. We have to list them down. What do we do? What are the things? Just come up with a list of things. And then involve people, involve our brothers and sisters in the village, especially the younger people. We're still young, Elias, I know, but there are younger people than us and they have more energy, right? So, especially the young people, how to target 7-year-old kids, 7 to 13 years old. That's our primary target. And then our 14-year-old to 24-year-old people, secondary target. 25-year-old up, that's our third target. So our primary is the kids because we have to cut the culture, right? If we invest on the 25 up, you and me, I'm sure we're thinking of bills to pay, maintenance meds or other things. So we'll still listen, but maybe we will not be able to do a lot about it. But if we invest on the young people, a 7-year-old kid 5 years from now will be 12 years old. An 11-year-old kid 5 years from now will be 16 years old, right? A 15-year-old kid 5 years from now will be 20 years old. So if we invest on this target market, this age market we have, I'm sure our efforts will be double. We will see a better result. So, but we have to engage and we have to learn how to engage and we have to get the help of many other people, many other NGOs, many other organizations, especially those who already have their experience. Maybe we can learn from them, right? So, I mean, I'm learning from the waste bank practices or resource bank practices of Sri Lanka. Also, same with Indonesia. I understand schools in Indonesia, you have your waste banks as well. And Indonesia, at least for the coastal areas, women are being involved in it primarily. That's also something that we would like to do, to engage women, a lot more women in this practice, or at least to get there to help or their investment. I think those are a few of the things that I can recall now as to what we as a village officials do. Okay. More importantly, this is true. A maxim that says people do what people see. So if people see me only talking about garbage, only talking about management, but not doing something personally about it in my home, or I go and make sure to clean the canals. If they don't see that, they will not believe you and me. But if they see that we're putting the effort, we're also preaching, or we're also doing what we preach, then it's easier to convince people and to get them involved in what we do. I hope that helps.
That really helps. And you stressing about the leadership to set an example so that people will follow what they see, right? So
Right.
that's really interesting. And also you mentioned before about your categorization, right? How
Mhm.
you targeting to invest in the primary audience. You mentioned about 7 to 14 years, and then secondary you 14 to 25, and then above
Right.
that, right? So I just want to touch a little bit about that, right?
Mhm.
What activities or like what initiative that you have done to target each of these age groups category?
Oh, okay. We haven't. Well, we have a plan for the 7 to 13. We haven't done it yet. Probably by January or February next year. And also, if we are able to get funder for this program, we have what we call, the name of the program is Kids Recyclable Patrol. So Kids Recyclable Patrol, for any, my village is divided into smaller communities. So for every smaller community, we will ask for 10 to 15 kids, age 7 to 12 or 13 years old. Okay. So what they'll do is they will just tell their mom and dad, "Mom, don't throw away the can of sardines. Don't throw away the PET bottle. Don't throw away the carton paper and all that." And our resource collectors will go to that kid, buy all the merchandise from that kid, all the recyclables. And when they have before they have their transaction, these kids, of course, will be given an orientation. Also, the parents will be given an orientation. And our resource collectors will give them a coin bank and a passbook. Okay. So every time there's a transaction, all the money goes into the coin bank. The only condition is the coin bank can only be opened in December, in time for Christmas or New Year. The kid can buy whatever he wants to buy, or if he wants to, offer maybe roasted chicken for New Year, then he can buy that. And also, of course, everything is recorded in the passbook. Now, when the kid starts, when those 10 kids, they start earning, just like any businessman, they see the potential in that. They will say, can I collect uncle's recyclables too? Or can I collect, our neighbor's recyclables too? And then eventually all kids in the neighborhood will be like, hey, I want that, I want that, I want that. So that's one of the things that we plan for the kids. So we're still looking for a partner on that. As for the 13 to 23 years old, we have engaged with our local high school, our junior high school at the moment. A funny story how, but I'm very thankful it happened. Our local high school came to my office and said we would like to help in the planting of mangroves in the coastal area. The coastal area is about 9 kilometers, 10 kilometers. And I was like, why? I was just asking them why. Why plant mangroves there? So, they give all these noble answers to protect the ocean and all that. But the reason I asked them the why is because when our dump truck collects the trash, the solid waste from the local junior high school, my truck has to stay there for 2 hours just to get everything sorted out. Okay. So I told the kids, instead of going 9 kilometers from where we are, there's a problem right under your nose. So to make a long story short, they have now realized that problem, and now they are partnering with our resource collectors. They have like a buyback scheme, and the money that they earn goes to their fund for school programs and all that. So that is by far what we have achieved. Hopefully, we will have a resource bank or a waste. We call it a resource bank now with the elementary school. The principal is very interested. We haven't started it though. I mean, just soft talks. And so these are the kind of things that we would like to do with the younger generation, and to really get a lot of energy into these activities.
Wow, wow, that's really amazing. I like when you are targeting the primary audience
Oh
between
yeah.
7 to 13,
Hmm.
that you not only encourage them to kind of like do like sustainable practice, preventing the parents to throw the garbage can,
Hmm.
also to set up the waste bag, but you also actually teaching them the delay gratification approach, where they will be able to save, and then they can set goals to what they gonna buy or what they gonna achieve in end of the year in December.
That's
So
correct.
this
That is correct.
that's really amazing. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So one last question, right? So if previously I asked you to tell your lesson learned to the to other local leaders who wants to take action in this climate change, right? So now
Hmm.
I want, what kind of lessons, or like what kind of what do you want to say to the communities in general, and
Hmm.
also to other enabler actors like non-profit organization,
Hmm.
funders.
Number one is we need to help one another. We need we must not, we are not here to compete. We are not in a competition. So if I learn something from Indonesia or from Sri Lanka, I'm like, wow, okay, maybe we could do that, or let's find a way. Maybe we can tweak that a little bit and make it fit to our context. So we have to help one another by sharing learnings, sharing experiences. Last week in a prestigious school here in my city, and they wanted us to talk about the community, how to engage, and all these, how to get participation. And I told them that the informal sector, the waste collectors, the resort collectors are already doing their part. They have been doing their part for a long time. I mean, since time immemorial, there are people who make money out of your garbage, out of the cans, right? So I was asking them this, because there's a saying from a commercial that says, "In union there is strength." So I asked them, "Do you remember? In union there is," and then they answered strength, and I told them, "No, wrong. In union there is you, right? Not the letter U, but you, YOU. Because if you are not doing your part, if you always look at the village officials, why not doing something about this? Waste generation starts at home. So if you are blaming the village officials for not doing their job, are you doing your job at home? That's where segregation is supposed to start. This with our brothers and sisters who want to do something about the solid waste problem and who've been wondering why for many years the Philippines have had many policies, even since I was a kid. I'm 48 now, by the way. So Philippines has many policies, but why is it not working? The big answer there is because my household is not segregating and your household is not segregating. If you want to make it work, our resource collectors have always been there making a livelihood out of our trash. But if you do our part, if you do your part, segregate, that's going to make it easier for resource collectors. You are dignifying the job of our resource collectors, and we are incurring less cost. Why? Because if we did not segregate, if you have broken glass or skewers, our resource collectors could easily injure themselves, right, by shards of glass and all that, and many other diseases you can get from waste, especially when managed improperly. So my message is for all of us in the ecosystem, let's help one another. Let's exchange ideas, exchange learning. For those who want to be part of the ecosystem, and I'm particularly pinpointing the household, start segregating. It will not be a problem if we all segregate. That's all, Elias.
Wow, thank you so much, Ray. I think that the last message is really strong and really relevant to us all over in the world, particularly from countries like us, like Philippines and also in Indonesia, that we often take everything for granted, that we don't segregate starting from home, but we tend to actually, oh, this is actually the responsibility of the government, but we don't do our own responsibility. So that's really 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 relevant. Thank you so much, Ray, for your time for this podcast, and I hope we can hear more about your achievement in tackling the climate change, particularly in your communities in Davao. Thank you so much, Ray. Bye bye.
Elias, thank you very much.
Bye.
Enjoy. Have a great day.
Have a good day.